It turned out that there was love letters that had been written.
These letters not only profess Lana Turner's love for Stompanato, but also contradict her testimony about their so-called oppressive relationship. The letters find their way to Mickey, who gives them to the press to help clear Stompanato's name.
Because these love letters showed that there was a wonderful relationship between these two before the killing.
In 1959, after the Stompanato affair cools down, Cohen is subpoenaed to testify in Washington, D.C. at the McClellan hearings on organized crimes ties to labor unions. He goes up against Chief Counsel Robert Kennedy, and the interchange turns nasty.
I respectfully decline to answer.
For what reason?
I respectfully decline to answer on the grounds that it may tend to incriminate me.
Would you relate to the committee why you received the $11,000?
I respectfully decline to answer on the same grounds.
Could you tell the committee any other instances where you received money for remaining out of a fight of this kind?
I respectfully decline to answer, sir.
Mickey was angered by Kennedy, as he recalls in his autobiography. Bobby Kennedy, this snotty little guy, questioned like an out-and-out punk. He says, now off the record, let me ask you one question. What's the meaning in the underworld or racket world when somebody's lights are to be put out? So I says, look, I don't know what you're talking about here. I'm not an electrician. Boy, he got hot as a pistol. Mickey Cohen had now made an enemy of Robert Kennedy, right at the time that another Cohen enemy, Police Chief Parker, is looking for ways to get Cohen.
Chief Parker at this time was really fed up with Mickey, and they were really bitter enemies. He called Bobby Kennedy and made Bobby Kennedy aware of what was going on.
Parker calls Kennedy's attention to Cohen's extravagant lifestyle and minimal reported income. In 1961, Mickey is again charged with and found guilty of tax evasion and is sentenced to 15 years in a federal pen.
And if anybody should be bitter, I have a right to be bitter for what happened with me. I got hit with a 15-year tax sentence, which was the largest that was ever given to anybody.
And then they sent Mickey to Alcatraz, which was really unheard of because Alcatraz is supposed to be for violent people that are sentenced for, violent crimes. Mickey was just sentenced on income tax. So the only other person was Capone that was sent there. So it was really kind of an unjust thing to send him to Alcatraz, but they got away with that too. Mickey stayed in Alcatraz about 2.5 years, and then they closed Alcatraz down in '63, and he was transferred to Atlanta Penitentiary in Atlanta, Georgia.
Atlanta is paradise compared to the hellhole where Mickey's been. But 15 years is a long stretch. A lot can happen, as Mickey finds out. For anyone, especially someone with obsessive habits, spending 15 years in a federal prison is rough. But for Mickey Cohen, matters are about to get worse. One night in 1963, Mickey suffers an unprovoked attack in prison. As he sits watching television, someone sneaks up behind him.
A crazed inmate named Burl Estes McDonald had a lead pipe, came behind Mickey, and savagely beat him over the head 2 or 3 times with this lead pipe. They thought Mickey was going to die right then, but he didn't die. He was in a coma for 21 days.
After the beating, Mickey is transferred to a medical facility in Springfield, Missouri. He survives radical brain surgery. He can't walk, can't use one arm. He begins 4 hours of physical therapy a day. Though his health gradually improves, he will never fully recover.
He had Melvin Belli, who was a very famous attorney in the Los Angeles, San Francisco area, represent him, and they sued the government. The government was found negligent for not protecting Mickey. They gave Mickey $110,000. So they said, well, upon your release, you can get this money. When Mickey got released, they never gave him the money. He couldn't get a quarter.
Many felt the federal prison system was at fault for housing him with a disturbed prisoner. And it was rather sad. I mean, it was the end of the brash, cocky little man who cut such a path through L.A. It was really sad to see him on camera.
When Cohen comes out of prison 9 years later, the world has changed a great deal. In 1972, a war is raging in Vietnam. Protesters take to the streets at home. Women are wearing short skirts. Men have long hair. The Godfather offers America a glimpse of organized crime in a chillingly realistic portrayal. And Cohen's nemeses, Chief Parker and Robert Kennedy, are both dead. Cohen lives off the generosity of his friends. He can't show income or the IRS will come after it. He isn't as active as he once was and doesn't make headlines as often, but yet another bizarre event connects him to the high and mighty. On February 5th, 1974, Patty Hearst, the granddaughter of Mickey's friend, publisher William Randolph Hearst, is kidnapped by a group of left-wing radicals, the Simeonese Liberation Army, and is videotaped helping them rob a bank.
When Patty Hearst got kidnapped, her father reached to Mickey right away to see if he could help, and he tried the best he could.
Always loyal to his friends, Cohen presses his contacts. Getting a lead on Patty's whereabouts, Mickey agrees to meet with her parents, but is surprised to learn that if he brings her in, she may go to jail.
Well, when I learned that, it was a shock to me because I thought that they knew what they were doing. When I learned that they didn't have it in that kind of a shape, I just openly told them, I said, look, I wouldn't bring nobody in to go to prison.
After the Hearst affair, Mickey writes a tell-all autobiography. But like an aging movie star, he is forgotten by the city who craves the next big thing. Suffering from stomach cancer, he dies on July 29, 1976. He's buried at Hillside Cemetery in a private ceremony. To this day, he remains LA's most famous gangster.
There was something about him. It was like people, they liked him. He was the little guy. He defied the cops, the mobs, the politicians, and they admired him.
But he never entertained a thought of doing anything else for a living. He was very happy with who he was, and what he achieved, and what he accomplished. He said he had met more people and a better class of people in his walk of life than he ever would have met in any other walk of life.
Mickey Cohen was a big name in this town. You didn't get any bigger than the Mick.
Mickey Cohen stands as the symbol of a different era, when Los Angeles was just acquiring its first sophistication, when gangsters only targeted other gangsters. Unique for his love of celebrity, his rough-edged charm, his natural affection for people, he's as much a part of Hollywood as any star on the silver screen. A real Hollywood hood.